everyone. My name is Joshua Mehrdad, and my project is on social media identification and perception. So let's first go over this because it's kind of a complicated, kind of weird, very, let's say, expansive topic. So let's just start with the topic. How do social media platforms play into stereotypes and assumptions about their user base's identities and political affiliations? So to simplify this, if you view a comment on Twitter, well, you have the same perception of it if you viewed it on Reddit. These communities often have very ingrained ways of treating themselves and how they treat others and how they're perceived by others. Like Redditors are often given this perception that they are chronically online, for lack of a better term, and Twitter users usually have this perception that they're politically extreme. So I was wondering if you used or saw that a comment was from a specific website, you'd attach those stereotypes to that comment simply because you thought it was from that website. So my basic example was, does a liberal white man perceive that every comment they read is from a liberal white man? That's for just perception for demographic information. And the other one is, does a common user just view every comment from Reddit as in chronically online, let's say neckbeard? But that's a little bit mean. We're going to go on to the next part. So for my process, I created a survey experiment and worked with the IRB to answer these kind of questions, which basically meant I created a Qualtrics survey and asked people to analyze 3 main questions. I'll go over the questions in the second part. And I analyzed this data for results, and I found these really interesting threads to work on in the future, but I don't know if they're concrete enough to make any establishing thoughts. So because of that, I'm going to expand this project towards like actually finding these answers and guaranteeing that, well, we can't guarantee anything with data, but like making them sound more concrete. And I'm going to share that data at presentations or expositions and potentially work on focus groups and ask them why they have these assumptions. We're on a time crunch, so I'm going to just move past this one a little bit faster and this one. Anyways, other questions I want to ask, do these perceptions affect our real life interactions? And are these perceptions harmful to online discussion? What this basically means, do you have negative associations with a user just because they're from Twitter? Just because you don't like Twitter users? And if someone tells you they use Twitter every day, are you going to view them differently in real life? I could not answer these questions for this project, but I do want to answer them later using focus groups kind of stuff. So here's how I ended up doing it. So first, I created a survey experiment where a participant would be given one of 3 versions of the survey, and then they would be asked their perceptions on this comment. So the first version had the original comment. The second version had it manipulated to look like it's from a generic website. I used a bodybuilding website and removed any identification that's from a bodybuilding website. And the third version made it look like it was from a different website, such as Twitter, Reddit, Facebook, and TikTok. TikTok was removed from the pilot, but we'll get into that later. And this is confusing, so I'm going to walk you through one of the examples here. So this is one of the comments I found on YouTube, and I'd like to ask you guys some questions. I'm going to ask someone this. So I love these videos. I wish all men would watch these. I don't care if it's considered brainwashing. This is what men need to see. This is a real comment. All of these are real. All of these I found on the internet. And I'd like to ask you guys, what age range would you, Hannah, what age do you think this person falls in between? Do you think they're below 18, 18 to 24, 24 to 30? You know the categories. What do you guess? Yeah, that's a good guess. Okay. Okay. All right. Sarah, what gender do you think they are? Male? Okay, that's a good guess. And mom, what a political affiliation do you think they are? Do you think they're a conservative or do you think they're a liberal? Okay. See, these are all good guesses. So let's, by the way, I hid all of the people's identities whenever I put them on the website, not just because I care about their identity, but because I also didn't want you to be primed by their profile pictures and stuff. But, you know, for you guys, you get to see. So this was I think Hannah was right. It looks like a 25 to 35-year-old, named himself Jenga Jebo. And this was actually liked by the creator of the video, so I wanted to hide that because it's a little bit scary just to find out that 700 people like this. And, you know, I don't know their political affiliation. This is YouTube. Yeah. No, surprisingly not. It was a little dark age music edit. I know. Uh, anyways, let's go to the next one. Oh, well, this is the version where it's from a bodybuilding survey. I might have accidentally deleted the second thing, but I don't think we had enough time for it anyways. So now let's go into the analysis of my pilot survey, because unfortunately, I was not able to do a full survey because IRB and I did not have a great relationship, but you know, I was still able to get out a pilot and find some really interesting lines of like, just really interesting information. So for the first one, which is the age question, I use analysis via R and Excel, and actually ChatGPT, I did end up using it for the coding, and it was pretty helpful because I don't know anything about coding. And overall, it's a little bit disappointing, but the average was straight in the middle, right? 25 to 34, people guessed it was in between that. But the range, the fact that we have such a fine range between the different websites and Facebook just being way older in comparison bodes well for the fact that people think people on Facebook are old and people on Reddit are young. But honestly, I can't base anything on these total results yet because this was a sample size of 35. But next time, whenever I get this done, I'll hopefully we get some better results. And this one is what I'd base like an entirely new survey or project on, which is the results I got for gender, because they were scary. So as you can see, the total average for gender, which by the way, 1 is for male, 2 is for female, that's how point system worked, was 1.25. That meant 75% of every answer said that the comment they were reading, they assumed it was from a man. That might just be because, you know, I chose questions that were biased towards men, but some of them were just very generic comments, just like, hey, bro, what's up? Like, while they didn't use female-coded language specifically, some of them did to see if that would change the effect, and sometimes it did, but it was just surprising how extensive this effect was on all these questions. 1.26 for Reddit and 1.7 for TikTok. That meant only 17% of responses for those two websites thought that the writer was female. That really surprised me. So I think it would be really interesting to see how effective this question is and see what we can learn about this in the future. And this one, I feel like was my weakest one, and I think I need to do further analysis into. But basically for political affiliation, we had a really fine spread, and I think if I had a better ability to code or read information, I'd see how much of this was built off of just averages and based off each question, but that's for the future, and I'll figure that out later. So, okay, now we're going to the answers. What have I learned? What did we see from this? So, do our perceptions change based off of website data? Yes. Results still hazy. Does participants' demographic information change their perception of the comments? Yes. I actually did ask everyone's gender, political affiliation, and their age before each question, and I did cross-check it for several answers, but it wasn't as extensive as I thought, and I definitely need to do a little bit more research on it. And do we have a general perception of those on the internet? Yes, there is definitely a general perception of a commenter being a male 18 to 25-year-old, which kind of was what I was expecting, but I was just not expecting it to be that concrete of an answer for some of these. And let's go into challenges. Yeah, IRB turns out for everyone doing future projects, I think we'll bring it up later, check how confusing doing the IRB is going to be for your specific project. It is not going to be fun if you don't check this on day one. Me and Kleinrock had a conversation with it on day one. I thought I was fine. I was not fine. But you know, at the end of the day, I was able to change my survey method to a pilot, so I was able to find more specific details, and I still was able to do my project overall, so I'm pretty happy about it. And in the future, I'm going to learn the process beforehand, and you guys should too. And I'm going to discuss alternative routes earlier. I was too hell-bent on trying to do IRB for like a good 2 months. I'm just trying to fix that. That was not the route. I should have went alternatively. I could have gone and done IRB with like outside of UCLA even, if that was a better choice. And something I really had some interesting questions about was, how do people perceive questions, like comments written by AI? Because do they have just assumptions based off of AI? Those are generic. Those are written off of humongous amounts of information. I just thought it would be really cool to learn about. And obviously, I want to obtain a larger sample. And finally, here's what I want to get out of this. Like, what does this mean for our general perceptions? Basically, there's a humongous gendered impact. A lot of content is assumed to be made by men on the internet. And it creates this power struggle between men and women on the internet, where men are given all this power of assumption, where they're just assumed to be the original, the normal, while women are seen as a rarity or other on these websites. And I feel like that takes away a lot of power, and there's something that we should move towards making that feel more equivalent and equal. Obviously, I am one person. That is not going to be just me, but I'd like to see how I can make that feel more equivalent in the future. And I think, yeah, for just future plans, expand this towards gender questions, work with focus groups, discuss this at presentations, and that should be it. Yeah, we'll ask questions afterwards.